Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. It's day 3 of spring and we have had a little bit of growth. As you can see, we're into a new transition, so we have a stage of growth on our grass. So as you can see, I was just putting the mower away there. I have kind of done a little bit of mowing with our little Amazoner ride-on mower just to get some grass in for the cows. They are now fully topped up with grass and we are, finally in a position where they are fully stocked with everything again. You may also notice there's a bit of a gap in here. I have sold the sprayer. I decided it's time for us to upgrade for our third and final year. Get something with a bigger tank and something a little bit more modern. We will be collecting that from Manning's when they open a little bit later on today. We have gone for a Horsch Lieb, keeping the kind of red theme going with our farm here. And I did also manage to find a buyer for my slurry set. So the front tank, the Goba tank, and the rear Joskin slurry drip feeder, they've both been sold. Managed to get around about 17,500 for them as a part exchange. So we have raised a little bit of extra cash to go towards paying the cost of our new Lieb. Our sprayer itself, our old one, only netted us around about 5 grand. It was very old and not really worth very much. So we have kind of lost out a little bit on that. But as you can see from our temperature gauge, we are now into a very healthy kind of window temperature wise. It's 9 degrees ground temperature at the moment. We need 7 degrees to plant sunflowers and 10 degrees to plant corn, but or at least for them to start germinating. But we are within the right planting cycle, so we're going to try and split the crops a little bit. We're going to plant the sunflowers today, and then I might plant the corn tomorrow. I might wait until day 5 and really stagger the crops so that they're all going to start growing on different growth cycles. I'm not 100% certain what I want to do with that yet. We do have some fertilising to get done as well over the next couple of days. We need to start putting down some spray on our crops that are growing, so our wheat, our barley, possibly, definitely our canola. You can see there we've got a stage of growth there on our, that's our barley field, isn't it? Yeah. Let's just change the crop type to sunflowers. There we go. And in terms of fields that we're going to plant today, these are going to be our sunflower fields, I think. Did we say they were going to be sunflower? Or did I say they were going to be corn? They were going to be corn, so these are going to be our sunflower fields down here, 48 and 51. So those are the fields that will be going off to seed. Let's get the Magnum out. Start making our way down to our new location. Livestock wise, we're in a pretty good position. We're making nice amounts of wool. I think we're on pallet number 6 that's being made at the moment. Tomorrow, I believe, is the best day for us to sell any wool that we've got. So we'll see what we've got at the end of see what the market price is looking like tomorrow. It should be pretty high, and we'll probably sell off a load of wool tomorrow, and then whatever we've got left we'll sell off at the end of the year as prices start to rebound during winter when we do our final grain sales. See stage 2 growth already on our canola field there, so we definitely need to get that spraying started today. Don't want to end up with those crops getting too grown too quickly with no fertilizer on them. They are at stage 1 fertilization, I believe. We'll check that in a moment. But for starters, let's this is the right, yeah, this is the right field. Let's put down our first pass of sunflowers. So we'll run this all the way down. This will take us to the tree line there, and then we'll run along the bottom and then back up that side, across the top, and then we'll have a nice box to work within, and then we'll have to do the weird twiddly bit down in the bottom corner behind the trees over there, behind the shed. That's going to be, you know, our first field, and then once that's done, we'll go over to our other field there. You can see, again, we don't really notice it until we actually see it from a distance. You can see just how severe the hills are on that field. You really don't get a sense of just how much the terrain goes up and down on a single field until you can see it from a certain angle. And that one's quite an uneven field. It rises and falls and rises and falls in a couple of different places. So we'll get this field, you know, underway. We'll get to a point where we can get the worker up and running, and then hopefully we'll be able to get over to Manning's reasonably early this morning, pick up our brand new sprayer, and we can start spraying off some of our crops. So the border around this area is done. I'm going to start back on the opposite side over here now, so that when we're finished, we're actually closer to the area where we're going to go to next, which is the other part of the field, just so we don't have to double back later. I don't know, it just seems a bit... It makes more sense for us to finish this section alongside the other one, seeing as we put that kind of split down the field. So let's take a look at our temperatures here. You can see we are on the opening day of our planting cycle for sunflowers and for corn. Like I said, I'm still undecided as to whether or not I want to plant corn today/tomorrow, or whether I want to wait for day 5 and 6. I am going to do a little bit of silage chaffing, not a huge amount, but we are going to do a little bit of silage work this year. So we will be planting corn up on fields 5 and 6 again. We do need to kind of put some fertilizer down on those fields. We didn't actually slurry those fields. I completely forgot all about them. So you can see they are the only fields that are currently untouched. And you can see over here as well, see, we never got the chance because we ran out of digestate. We never really applied a second stage to these fields either. So this field here will just need a single stage of fertilizer, and then that'll be done. Every other field's going to need 2 stages, apart from these ones up here, which are going to need 3 stages of fertilizer. That's another reason why I wanted to get a better sprayer as well this year, something a little bit faster and with a larger tank, so we're not having to make multiple trips to various different locations at slow speed. We can move a little bit faster in the lead. We can spray a wider area per pass because we'll have a bigger boom, and instead of having a 3,250 litre tank, it'll have a 5,000 litre tank, so we'll be able to cover more field before we have to top up. That's always a good thing, I think. So a single trip should be able to do both of those fields, no problem whatsoever. In terms of our animals, let's take a quick look. You can see there 89% health for the sheep, 83% for the cows. They're kind of static from yesterday. We should see those going up tomorrow. Sheep might take a little bit longer. Don't forget we did drop in some sheep that are at a lower health ratio, and that has kind of thrown the balance a little bit in our flock. But hopefully they will start to go back up again tomorrow. And the cows should start going back up tomorrow as well. Now that we have grass in the food trough, you can see there 14,500 litres to fill that trough up. We are going to have to start using regular mowing, I think, to fill that trough up, because it's just taking so long to do it with our little mini mower. Only cuts 3,000 litres per tank, really, just over 3,000 litres. So it takes quite a few trips, like 5 trips with the mower at a very slow speed to actually get that thing, get that trough filled up from empty. So yeah, that's something we need to work on, I think. And you can see we are producing sheep, because it's still lambing season, quite fast now, down to 5 hours 40 as well. So we're up to 135 sheep now. Their numbers are going up quite a bit. And then when we hit summer, the number for our cows will start to go up as well as we hit calving season. So looking pretty good there. 65% wool on our current pallet, which I, as I say, believe is pallet number 6. So we'll have a nice little bit of wool to sell. And if we take a look here, you can see tomorrow is the best day to sell wool. What is the price currently looking like at the moment? Just out of interest. Let's see. Currently it's a low price, which is good, because that means that hopefully as the price goes up and settles, it'll be tomorrow when it's reached its zenith and has settled again, and we'll be able to get potentially up to 12 grand a pallet. Probably not quite that much, probably somewhere between 10 and 11, but you never know. Maybe up towards 12 is a realistic thing that we could potentially hit. So kind of looking forward to a big payday when we sell off 6 pallets of wool. We'll end up making quite a bit of cash there in a single run. And I'm also excited to be doing beets as well this year. Now the beet prices at the moment are not exactly what you call great. 226. Oops, wrong button. That's what I meant to do. Best window for sugar beets. Well, there isn't really a best window as such. Winter time is kind of the best kind of window, but those spikes that you see there, they are great demands that we had last year. There's no specific best day, so those spikes that we have there are not representative of when those prices will hit this year, because as I say, they are great demands rather than a peak day. So whereas soybean has a very, very specific best day, same with wool, same with corn, has 2 very specific best days, and so on and so forth. Sugar beets have a pretty even kind of flow. As you can see, it dips down in the summer, goes back up through autumn, and then it's quite high all throughout winter. It's relatively stable pricing. It carries on into the early parts of spring before it starts to go down. But a great demand could pop up any time, and because there's not that much movement in the price band, as long as we don't get one in the middle of summer, then any kind of great demand, well, actually we won't even have the crop to sell in the middle of summer. So any great demand we get from sort of like the end of autumn through winter, any one of those days that we get a great demand on, we're going to be looking at getting a very healthy price indeed, I think. And the clouds are starting to clear at last as well. So we're going to have some lovely clear sunshine to help finish this day off. And that'll be nice. It's been pretty overcast this morning. We should have lovely sunshine today for the rest of the day. Let's just quickly check our forecast. Okay, so we have rain for tomorrow, then a couple more days of sun, and then cloudy again and rainy. So hit and miss kind of weather. We're going to have some mowing to get done. We're going to need to make hay for our cows and for our sheep. Make sure we've got plenty of food for them, especially with our sheep numbers going up. Hay is going to be something we definitely need to stockpile a little bit more this year than we did last year, and we are going to need to top up our supplies for making TMR as well a little bit through the year. So we're going to need to do a silage run specifically for TMR, maybe to do some selling as well. So I'll carry on working away on this field, and I'll catch up with you once we're ready to move on to the next one. Not quite sure how I did it, but I've just noticed there's a little bit of damage on the edge of my field there. That's annoying. Just taken out just a single row by the look of it, where I've turned somewhere and not realised. Might have did it with the seeder actually, when I was getting positioned at the start. Might have been the wheels on the back of the seeder that did it. That was careless of me. Never mind. It's done now. Can't change it. So just this little strip here to do, and then this first section of the field is done, and we'll start doing the fun bit, the bit where we have to kind of drive at weird angles to get there, to get this field covered. Shouldn't take us too long, I hope. So I got one of the boys to drop me off here at the shop, and there's our leave. It's already bought and paid for. Just going to pop in and say hello to Sam, sign the paperwork, and pick up the keys. Okay, so here it is. This is our brand new sprayer for this year, the Horsch Lieb, part of the Horsch DLC aggravation mods pack from the mod contest. Specifically the aggravation entry, split into obviously the map and then the Horsch equipment pack. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I have used it before and I really do like it. Pretty pokey as well. 39 miles an hour this thing can go on the roads. We actually need to limit that to match traffic. There we go. And it feels very strange driving this at times because it's very high up and it looks very narrow with the wheels, but whenever we actually unfold this to start using it, the wheels hunch out to the sides as well, and it feels like it just hunkers down and almost drops down a little bit. It makes it feel more squat and not quite so it looks a little wobbly and precarious just because it looks quite narrow against its height, but it really does take on a much wider wheelbase when you actually start unfolding this to use it. And I think it just looks awesome. I do like it, and as I say, 5,000 litre spray tank, so 1,750 litres more than our old sprayer. Faster, bigger boom. It's just a massively upgraded piece of equipment compared to what we were using last year and indeed in the first year. So a nice little upgrade, I think, and a worthwhile upgrade. You know, we were using that really battered old sprayer for the first couple of years, and it served us well and it was fun to drive, but it just took so long to get anywhere. And you can see with this, it's just so much smoother, so much faster to move around from location to location. So this thing's going to do us really, really well this year. So we'll start spraying as soon as we get this thing filled up, and we'll spray off this field first of all, just so it's done, and then we won't have to worry about our barley until it's grown. And then after that, I'm not quite sure which fields to go with next. I suppose the ones that we've already planted on and are seeing some growth. So our canola, that definitely needs to get done today. That's now going to be at stage 2. And then our wheat fields as well, they should be growing. That should be wheat just there. It is. And then field 45 just over there. That'll be our other wheat field. So let's get this thing this thing topped up. There we go. Oh, we've actually got a little bit of spray, a bit of liquid fertilizer left over from last year. So we'll use that up first of all, hopefully. There we go. So that's the remainder of last year's fertilizer used up. That's when we were lugging pallets around on the back of our gooseneck trailer. This thing seems to fill up faster as well. I don't know, maybe that's just me. There we go, full already. Definitely got a better turning circle as well with 4-wheel steering compared to just front wheel steering like we had last time out. Or did the other one have 4-wheel steering as well? No, I honestly can't remember. Looks like our worker has finished with the seeding job that I left him on, so we'll go and check on that in a moment. First things first, let's get this thing put to work. So you'll see, if you haven't used this or seen this before, you'll see what I mean about it hunkering down. It just feels, because the wheels go out, and it just makes it look much wider. Obviously it's got a much wider wheelbase when it does pop the wheels out like that, but it feels like it hunkers down, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know, it's a strange one to explain. With a much bigger boom as well. What is the boom working width on this? We'll check that actually. I think it's 30 meters. The last one we had was only 24 meters. So let's have a look. Sprayers. There we go. So 211,000 euros is what it, or dollars is what it cost us. 36 meter boom. Oh wow! So it's 50% bigger working width than the last one we had. So we should get through fields really quickly with this. Fantastic piece of kit. It's going to take a little while to get used to this much bigger boom. I need to change my cruise control while I'm working like this as well. Change it to 10 so we don't get that massive jolt of acceleration whenever we turn the sprayer off. It's just this huge working width. It's going to make shallow angles like this a little bit more complicated. So we do potentially stand to waste a bit more spray in some circumstances. Oops. Stop the flow just before we get too far offline. There we go. Swing around. This is where it's going to be a bit more awkward. We have this shallow line that kind of runs around the edge of the field here. So we're going to end up with a period where we are going to be kind of wasting some spray. It can't be helped, unfortunately. It is the nature of fields with an angle like this where it's very shallow. The only way we could minimise that would be to run up and down the field this way, but that would take a lot of turning and I don't know if it's really worth it in the end. We'll just have to be a bit more proactive. That's going to be the biggest adjustment this year using this, is just the fact that, you know, it is, as I say, a 50% bigger boom than we used last year. 24 metres last year, 36 metres this year. That is a big step up. But so far, so good. And like I say, it does mean that we are going to spray off our fields pretty quickly. And I hadn't initially planned on upgrading the sprayer. I was quite happy to kind of stick with the one we were using, but because we ended up in a situation where we couldn't get as much OSR planted, I realised we were going to end up having to do probably about twice as much spraying as I'd initially wanted to. And then we didn't get the chance to fully digestate our fields because we ran out of digestate, remarkably. So again, that just meant a little bit more spraying than I'd initially hoped. So kind of didn't really have much choice in the end. Figured things we're going to need to do a lot more spraying. We figured we may as well do it in style this year. Get a big, shiny, expensive, but effective piece of equipment to do it for us. Make this turn here. And what I want to do is try and square up. Oops. And stop. There we go. So we're going to kind of cut this field into sections as well. Just again to try and maximise our spraying a little bit. So there we go. We'll run this pass along here like that, and that'll give us the break through here that we need. So we'll have a long section that we can work there. I will need to put a border in on that end. There we go. That gives us that nice little break there. Actually kind of sprayed a little bit too far, never mind. do this border along here, and then we can turn the worker loose to finish the top section of this field off, those long runs back and forth, and then we can get the seeding planting, or the seeding going on our second sunflower field. I do want to try and get the orchard up and running again today, if at all possible. And the longer we wait, then, you know, the longer it'll be before that actually starts generating income. We're going to be absolutely filthy rich by the end of this playlist. We're going to make so much money. It's going to be almost unreal. That's twice now I've hit the button to turn the spray off and it hasn't turned off. Maybe I need to change out my pad. Maybe the buttons are getting a bit worn out. There we go. So, worker hired. Let's jump back over to our Magnum. I've just tidied up the little patches that were left over that needed to be done. So this field shouldn't take too long at all. We need to put a headland in at either end. This side obviously because of the trees, other side because of the orchard fence. And then it'll just be, you know, straightforward up and down the field, no problem at all. And that'll be it for the planting for today. We'll do the corn tomorrow so that we have time to get some spraying done today, and also, you know, get the orchard up and running. As I say, we have 2 days per transition, so the next one won't happen now till day 5. That'll be the next stage of growth. So as long as our crops are in the ground by the end of tomorrow, it doesn't matter whether we plant them today or tomorrow. You know, they'll start growing at the same rate. And tomorrow it'll probably be, you know, warm enough for our corn to start germinating anyway. So we'll plant the corn tomorrow. We'll just get it done. We'll get it out the way, and then we can have the choice then as to when we actually do the harvest. It'll give us a little window. So if we want to rush our harvest, if we get some bad weather at the end of autumn, we're not beholden to, you know, waiting on crops. You know, well, if they'll be ready earlier, and we have a choice as to when we can harvest them. This kind of makes a bit more sense, you know, thinking about it. So, yeah, we'll get the corn planted tomorrow, and then that should start growing on day 5, along with these sunflowers. And that way we'll have nice staggering between our crops. So our canola will be on stage 3, our wheat and barley will be on stage 2, and our sunflowers and corn will be on stage 1 when it comes to day 5. And we'll have that nice kind of stagger across our crops without, you know, staggering the sunflowers and the corn separately as well. Okay, we are just about finished spraying off this field here. This last little bit. And done. So let's get folded up so we can refill this. Wheels pull themselves in a bit. There we go. And refill. So next up will be to tag the canola fields, so fields 49 and 50. We'll get 49 done first, and then once 49 is done we'll move on to 50. 50 is going to be interesting with the islands with this 36 meter boom. It was a bit of a challenge last year. This year is going to be even more interesting, I think. I'm curious to see how that was going to shake out. It's so nice to be able to move around the yard, around the farm itself at a faster rate. Like this, just bombing around here about 39 miles an hour up this hill. 17 was our highest speed last year. Very slow indeed. So the seeding is probably about 2/3 of the way through, I think, on our field over there. You can just see our seeder in the distance there, working away. There's that damage, which I think I might have possibly done with the seeder. Not my cleverest moment. Drive forward and check the boom height. Might need to lower it a little bit. Yeah, drop it down to about there. There we go. Right, let's get this field sprayed. Again, we'll do the border around the edge, and then we'll leave the worker to his business once we've done that. I'm not going to bother doing the actual ends this time, I'll just do the sides, just so we don't end up spraying onto other fields, going where I don't want him to go just yet. Trickiest bit's going to be just manoeuvring around the tree and making sure that we don't have any issues there. We'll try and do it all in one continuous pass, if we can. And then we'll just have a little bit of overlap when we come back down on the next side. I've got a choice here actually. How do I do this? It's a 36 metre boom, so I should be good. You know, I'll have, what, 18 metres either side of the centre. Yeah, I mean, because if you remember, we started seeding on that field there by mistake. But at the end of the day, I mean, we need to spray that field, so if it doesn't overlap onto that field, it's not the end of the world. But I'm just worried about him getting up to the tree and then turning around and getting a bit confused and then switching over onto that field like the seeder did. Don't have to fire yet another worker. Good help is hard to find, and I don't want to have to sack a member of my farm team here. But fingers crossed we'll have enough distance between the area that needs to be sprayed and the tree, and we shouldn't have an issue. I say shouldn't. Nothing is certain. Just make our way around the tree there. Just clipped it. That could have been expensive. I think we just about lucked out on that one. Ideally, I would get him to start work here. It should only take about 3 passes once we've done the other side to get this field done, I think. It's quite a long field, but it's not that wide in the grand scheme of things. Not when you have a 36 metre working width. As I say, this field is going to be a lot more challenging. You're going to have to be a lot more hands-on with that one. Have to put quite a bit of time and effort in when it gets to the edges of those little islands there. Make our way to the other side of the field, head back down that way, and then fingers crossed we'll be good to go. All the beets are coming through as well. I forgot about the beets. I need to get those sprayed as well. So a lot of crops to spray over the next day or two, and then we'll have to start it all over again on day 5 or day 6 to get the next application down as well. So I'll carry on spraying away. There we go, that's the seeding done for today. So we'll get this taken back to the farm, get the equipment cleaned and put away, and then get it back out again tomorrow to do our corn planting. Lugging this thing over the fields 5 and 6 is going to be a little bit cumbersome, but we'll get it done. So it's time to get our orchard back up and running. That's a big amount of poop in that shed there. This is going to take me a little while to make sure that all these trees are fully manured and watered. The water won't take too long. The water will be fairly quick, but it's the manure that takes the time. Only being able to do a few trees in one bucket at a time. So I get like 3 and a bit trees. But I'll keep working on getting the orchard up and running while I am paying attention to the sprayer in the background, transferring that around from field to field, and basically shoveling poop for the next few hours until this thing is back up and running again, and we'll start bringing in some serious cash. We're going to kind of need it. We're going to have to drop, what, $500,000 on beat equipment. Visible post again. Keep forgetting about that. It's because it's invisible. I can never see the damn thing. That's why. But yeah, we'll need to spend quite a bit of cash on whichever one of the 2 beet harvesters we go for. This is why I'm unsure whether to go with Roper or to go with Holmer. If we go with Holmer, then we can bring in a Terra variant and use that as an auger beet unloader, and it not look out of place. Plus the red kind of ties in with the case theme that we've been building throughout our series here. So I am seriously sort of leaning more towards Holmer at this point. In terms of, showing off the DLC, if we go with Roper, that won't happen because, like I said, we're using the smaller of the 2 harvesters, and they're both mods. Both the Holmer one and the Roper one. The Panther is not part of the DLC pack. That was a Tiger. So whichever brand we do end up going for, and it's more likely going to be Holmer at this point. Neither of them are official content as such. They're all modded content. So I don't really think that. I don't really think the choice of brand should be influenced over the fact that one is a new DLC and the other one is DLC from Farming Sim 15, because we're not using the DLC at all when it comes to the actual harvester itself. Choices. Yeah, probably going to be Holmer, not confirming at this point. We're going to have so much cash, as I say. This orchard's going to be spitting out close to 100 grand a day while it's operational through the end of spring and summer and early autumn. We'll shut it down mid-autumn, just like we did last year. But just half of summer is going to, well, not half of summer, but 2/3 of summer is going to pay for the harvester on its own, on top of the cash that the rest of our farms could be making anyway. So yeah, it's all about seeing just how much money we can kind of raise at the end of the year now. It's going to be a lot. I think it's entirely feasible that come the end of the year, when we sell off our crops, before we even start looking at getting rid of the machinery itself, just looking at our cash balance once we've sold our crops, we're going to be talking probably $1 million, if not more, and a good chunk of that's going to come from this orchard. Oh, of course, we've still got the soybeans as well. Ah, yeah, okay. Need to revise that. Let's see. Are we going to get between? I think it could be anywhere between $1.5 and $2 million at the end of this year. That is a huge amount of cash. But we've worked hard and spent an awful lot of money to get to the point where we're going to be able to make that record income this year. It's not like we've kind of shortcutted our way to that kind of cash. We've really had to work hard for it. So I don't feel bad about the potential of us making a huge, almost obscene amount of money at the end of this year, because it's vindication for the 3 years of hard work that we'll have put in on this farm. I think it's something for us to be proud of. another worker has sprayed where I didn't want it to. Had the same problem. I'm guessing the boom just got too close to the tree. So you can see he got to this point and stopped, and then somehow gone on through the field, and then started going in a very strange direction along there as well. So haven't fired this worker, just severely chastised him, because we do actually need to spray that field. So he hasn't done any long-term harm. He's just kind of forced my hand as to which is the next field that needs to be sprayed. But yeah, it's just frustrating sometimes when the AI has these issues. So so this is the last little bit of manure I need. Well, it's actually a little bit more than I need, but this is the last tree. There we go. So all the trees have been manured. Now I'm pretty sure... Oh, look at that, we've got a great demand for wool. I wasn't expecting that until tomorrow. What's that done to the price? Ooh, that's not bad. It's going up as well. Right, we'll keep an eye on that and see where that ends up. The price was a red price, so we could, well, end up making more if we wait till tomorrow. Possibly. It depends where that great demand ends up. I need to drop the rear weight. There we go. So all the trees have been manured. Now I need to give them damn post. Need to give them some water, and that'll switch the trees on, and they'll start producing. There we go. So this is full. Both of our storage tanks there are full as well. So we have plenty of water on hand. It's time to get these trees switched on. And there we go. Orchard is now done. It's fully stocked up with water and with manure. All trees are now active. That'll start generating a nice little bit of income for us. Now, the great demand that we've got for wool is going up quite quickly in terms of the price. It's an 18-hour window as well, which means that it will roll across until tomorrow. And it started at 3 o'clock. Which means it's due to finish, if my mental maths is correct, at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. So we may well just get up very early in the morning and sell our wool. I'll keep an eye on the price. I might possibly head down and sell the wool shortly after midnight, but the price will spike upwards as soon as we hit midnight. Even though it's a great demand, it will get that big spike upwards because it is, you know, a seasons thing. So you can see here, price has gone up. It's currently 10,216 and still going up. It's just clicked up to 217. I'll see where it ends up, but assuming it doesn't start coming back down again, then that price could end up very, very high indeed when it ticks over at midnight. And tomorrow's price could be at least another 1,000 on top of what we've got now. So as tempted as I am to go and immediately rush that wool to market as soon as that price stabilizes, I will probably wait until either midnight or first thing tomorrow morning and sell the wool then, because we should, in theory, make even more money that way. Right, let's carry on with our spraying. Oh, almost out of fertilizer in the back of the tank here. I'll keep that folded out. How much of this field has he actually already sprayed for me? A good chunk of it, by the look of it. Let's take a look. Okay, so that's what's been sprayed, and weirdly he's left a very thin line along here. We kind of have to spray it. So we're going to zigzag our way, or slalom our way through here. Just to tag that incredibly thin line that runs along the edge of this field here. Otherwise we're just going to be wasting a huge amount of spray just to do that tiny little strip. If we run end to end, better to do it this way. We'll avoid that tree as well, and that's it actually, that's the last bit. So, yeah, very strange. The way the worker keeps switching directions. But we'll finish this field off as best we can, and once this is done, we need to tackle field 50, and that might be the last thing we get done today. So I'll crack on with this. I'll get this one done, head back, refill. I'm probably going to need to finish this one off before, after the refill, and then we'll tackle that monster field just there. Have to make sure that gets done before the next transitional change, and ideally I'd like to get it done today. These islands are always so fiddly and finicky. Got caught on the tree with the boom as well, that's not good. There we go. Always the really tricky bits is getting around these islands and not colliding with anything, or not making it really awkward for the workers. They tend to stop when they get anywhere close to these and just immediately try and head off in the opposite direction. I've kind of overwritten them in a lot of places around here where I've just taken manual control and done it myself. It's much easier than trying to get the worker to mess around and do it. So there's a bit on the other side of this island coming up that needs to be done as well. We'll get there. What time is it? Just gone 6:15. So I might spray one more field after this. I might spray my other wheat field. I think I'll get that one sprayed, and then we'll do the sugar beets tomorrow once we've got the corn planting out of the way. I do need to take the weeder up to field 24 tomorrow and weed the grass field up there as well, so that when that hits day 5 it'll grow and that'll be fully fertilised and hopefully ready to mow as well, so we can get some hay made at the sheep farm to top up our hay bale supply, which is starting to get a bit low. We've got enough to get through the rest of this season at the very least, possibly into summer as well, but beyond that we're starting to get down to the low remaining allowance of bales, so definitely something we're going to need to be proactive on, I think. And we'll also need to get some more hay bales here for the cows at this farm as well. Plus I think we might need to think about moving the silage that we have in our farm bunker, maybe just selling it off and making up a fresh batch. I don't know. I've got a large supply of TMR that's already mixed. Plus, I think I've still got a full load inside the mixer as well, ready and waiting. So we've got enough TMR to get through the rest of this season. But for the rest of the year, not enough. and I don't think we'll have enough silage left to get through the rest of this season. So unless we switch the ratio, actually we could flip the ratio and go 3 hay bales against 1 silage. That might be something we could do instead. That would be tricky though. That would be very tricky because we wouldn't get a full bale's worth of silage. And if we put in all the bales of hay, we might have to basically do 5 bales instead of 6 when it comes to the hay bales, and then just do the rest in silage. Otherwise, if we try and do a straight 75-25 mix, we're not going to get it, because we're going to have too much hay and not quite enough silage, because we're not going to get that 8,000 litres on the nose. We'll end up with like 6 or 7 litres short or something like that, or maybe even a little bit more than that, and it'll be too much of a shortfall. The ratio will be too high in terms of hay by just a few litres. So we would have to dump out some hay to get the mix going again. It would just, yeah, it would be messy. So I think, yeah, if we do 5 bales of hay and then just the rest in silage, we can kind of stretch our silage ration out that way. Maybe that would mean we'd have enough to get through for future batches of TMR. I don't know. It's something we need to play about with, I think, as the year progresses. And we've got plenty of time anyway. If we do need to make more TMR or make more silage, we'll have plenty of time to do it. It'll only take a couple of days to ferment, and yeah, we can easily shove a couple of 100,000 litres in the bunker pretty quickly. So it's not a major concern. It's just trying to work out the logistics and the timing of it, that's all. So we're pretty much done for another day. As I say, all I've got left is one more field that needs to be sprayed after this one, and then I'm only really doing that just because it's only 6:30 and we've still got some daylight to use. So yeah, I think we'll call it an episode just here. I'll finish that other field off after this one, because this has only got one more pass after this one that we're on right now, and then this field is done. So we're only going to be out on the fields in total for another couple of hours. And then tomorrow we'll get our corn planted. We'll do a little bit more spraying so we can get our 2 beet fields done over there. I'm sure I'm missing something else. Oh yes, we've got to weed the grass field. Maybe do a bit of animal care. Shouldn't need to do too much because we did do a fair bit yesterday. And we will be selling our wool tomorrow as well. That is the big thing. Got to make sure we remember to get up very early in the morning to sell that off. Just take a quick look actually at the price. It's up to 10,349 at the moment. Is it still going up? Yes, it's still going up. Look, so it's just ticked over to 10,350. So that price is still increasing. But as I say, that will take a nice little jump up at midnight when we hit day 4. Because even though it's a great demand, the prices do get a bump on peak days in seasons. So it will jump up an extra few hundred, maybe even 1,000 overnight. And that means we can make a lot more money. Plus, it means we get a chance to even get an extra bale or 2. How many pallets are we on now? See, we're on a new pallet, so that's pallet number... Actually, that's got to be pallet number 6 there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making wool anymore, so... Yeah, that must be pallet number 6. So we'll have 5 full pallets, plus whatever that one ends up on overnight. And then first thing in the morning, we'll take all that down. We've got until 9 o'clock in the morning, so we'll probably get up and take that down around about 6 or 7 in the morning. Get a nice early start. So yeah, that's the kind of plan for the rest of this sort of mid-spring rotation. That's the plan for tomorrow, and I will be back with another episode of Lone Oak Farm very soon.